When the night is blue and the moon's like a fat balloon, I throw off all my covers and go find the camel canoe. I think that when you're a little kid, I think most kids like to draw and write. And when you first started drawing or writing, it's kind of hard to remember, you know? But when I was a kid, I used to like to draw and write. I used to like comic books. I used to like picture books. I used to like graphic novels. And I used to kind of like to doodle and, you know, make up my own characters or write little stories. And as I got older, I liked to do it a little bit even as I grew up. Because my father was in the Foreign Service. He worked for the Agency for International Development. So we moved around a lot. And we lived in a lot of developing countries. But we also spent a lot of time living in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. We kind of went back and forth from an overseas post to a Washington, D.C. post. So I was born in Bangkok, Thailand, and then we moved to Washington, D.C. Arlington, Virginia to be specific. And then we moved to Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya. And then we moved to Washington, D.C. And then we moved to India. And then we moved to Washington, D.C. And then I went to boarding school for a little while in Connecticut. And my parents moved to Pakistan. And I visited them there. And then I went to the College of William and Mary in Virginia. And then after college, I went and taught English in Japan. And then I moved to Seattle, and I've lived here for the last 20 years. So, I don't know, maybe it was because I moved around so much that whenever I moved to a new place, it always took a little time to make friends, you know, to really kind of get in the swing of things and do stuff. So I kind of filled the time a lot with reading and playing and, you know, some kind of stuff at home. I like comic books a lot. I like to draw. I like to write. And I think it's just kind of a natural outgrowth of really enjoying reading, really loving comics and all kinds of different graphic arts. When I was in India, they had these great Indian comic books, which were called Amar Chitrakarta. They had a lot of mythological characters and then a lot of historical characters. And I also was really into some of the European stuff like Asterix and Obelix and Tintin, and I also really liked American superhero comics. So I got exposed to a bunch of different stuff and I just really enjoyed playing around with it. And then, you know, as I got older, I kind of got into Japanese anime and manga as well. So there's just so many cool things out there that just kind of makes you want to go out and do your own thing and see what it looks like. I really enjoyed the ones with my girls where I just kind of noticed a certain characteristic or a certain expression or a certain way of doing things, and then was able to just kind of dive into it a little bit more and be a little playful with it and kind of do some ridiculous things that are, you know, maybe expressive of their personalities, but not necessarily something that can happen exactly in real life. So I like that combination of personality and imagination that is possible in picture books. And there are a couple that I have, so I kind of handmade some of them with a printer, and then I pasted them together into my own books, and then I found out about like this self-publishing platform where you could go ahead and upload them and get a real printed copy of it. And so I tried that out with 2 or 3 of them, and they come out looking really nice. And kind of a side benefit of that is that they're thrown up on Amazon.com as well, and people can find them. And There's one book in particular that people have kind of found over and over again over the last few years, and like every month, a few people buy them. So that's kind of neat. Just that they kind of make their way through the internet and they find it and they go ahead and buy it. It's just kind of fun to think about. The one that's gotten the most attention is called Kai and Camel Canoe, which is sort of less about my kids, but it's a little bit about my kids and like the room that they grew up in upstairs, and it's sort of the bedtime stories that we would tell. But it's also a little bit about me as a kid and like some of my interests over the years. Be able to come up with something neat, something cool, something that looks good, something that sounds good, something that the kids will enjoy, something that I would enjoy, and then hopefully, something that other people might think was cute or fun a little bit too. But no matter how far we travel, and may our travels never end, when the moon is set again, she slips me back in bed.